Good evening on TV47 News Tonight. Tonight, two suspects of the 2013 Westgate attack have been found guilty for conspiracy to commit an act of terror. Another one is freed for lack of evidence. Also tonight, the National Security Council issues a raft of security measures in keeping with political events to tame rhetoric that they say is a threat to national security. Plus, Gatundu North parliamentary seat declared vacant by the High Court following a retrial of an election petition on the legality of the election of MP Wanjiku Kibe. And Education CS George Magoha says schools will reopen on Monday no matter what, even as parents and private schools decry lack of time to readjust. Tonight of all nights, Anne Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi, begins right now. To our top story. The Milimani High Court has found two suspects implicated in the Westgate terror attack that occurred in 2013 guilty, with their sentencing set for the 22nd of October. The two, Muhammad Ahmed Abdi and Hussein Hassan Mustafa, are among two other suspects who have been acquitted after Chief Magistrate failed to find evidence linking them to the attack. David Mudoka begins our broadcast tonight.
Two suspects of the 2013 Westgate terror attack that left at least 67 people dead have been found guilty by the Milimani law courts, pending a sentencing that has been scheduled for 22nd October. The two, Mohammed Ahmed Abdi and Hussein Hassan Mustafa, were found guilty of 3 counts of terror crime, including conspiracy to commit a terrorism offense and knowingly supporting a terror group. The former was solely found guilty of being in possession of terrorism material.
I'm therefore satisfied the prosecution has proved the charges of possession of articles for use in commission of a terrorism offense against the first accused person beyond a reasonable doubt, and I find the first accused person guilty. Now, I found that the first and fourth accused persons were in active communication with the attackers, and they would not be doing this unless they had links to them.
But while the two stare at conviction, another suspect was acquitted by Chief Magistrate Francis Andai of all counts of terror crime. The court failed to find evidence linking Liban Abdullah Omar to the Westgate terrorists. And as the second accused person shed what seems as tears of joy awaiting his imminent release, the court directed his alien identity card be immediately released to him. He now joins a fourth suspect, Adan Dek, who was set free in January 2019 after the prosecution failed to prove a case against him.
I give the benefit of the doubt to the second accused person and find the communication he had on his phone was innocent. I find that the prosecution has not proved its case against the second accused person on all the charges that were facing him, and consequently he is acquitted under Section 215 of the Criminal Procedure Code.
Reacting to the verdict, prosecutor Edwin Okello has said justice has been served, even as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions ponders on whether to appeal the acquittal.
So it's been a 7-year journey, which is finally over, and I think it's been justice served for the victims of Westgate and the country at large.
The two suspects who have been found guilty are facing a maximum of 20 years of jail term for each count. The Westgate attack, one of the deadliest terror attacks to have ever taken place in the country, left at least 71 people dead, including the gunmen, and close to 200 people injured in its wake. 4 gunmen stormed the Westgate Mall, located in Upmarket Westlands Estates in Nairobi, in September 2013, and began firing at will, leading to a siege that lasted for 4 days. Somali ragtag group the Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack. Now, amid fears of a justice delayed, justice denied scenario, the High Court has finally found 2 of the 4 suspects implicated in the September 21st, 2013 Westgate terror attack guilty, awaiting sentencing on 22nd this month. David Muthoka, TV47 at the Milimani Law Courts, Nairobi.
Moving on, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has dared anyone who feels aggrieved by the Ministry of Education's directive of reopening schools in phases next week to take him and the ministry to court. His sentiments come at a time when a number of learning institutions across the country are already working on meeting the government's directive on ensuring learners are safe in schools. Our reporter Musa Salah has the details.
At Hospital Hill Primary School in Nairobi, preparations are underway ahead of Class 8 and Grade 4 pupils who are expected to report on Monday next week. Workers at the learning institution are busy clearing bushes to ensure the institution abides by the government's directive on COVID-19.
Right now, I have workers from the DCC. I wrote a letter and I requested for manpower to assist me make the compound neat. And they are there already on the ground. That is what we are doing. They are going to help me make the compound neat, arrange the classes because they are laborers, casual laborers, and the teachers will supervise.
Meanwhile, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha assured parents that learners will not be sent home for school fees and that parents should not hesitate to take their children to school on Monday.
We would want to ask them to ensure that no Kenyan child in the secondary school sector, the boarding secondary school sector for that matter, is sent home because of school fees. Every child must be admitted into school and the issue of fees will be sorted out later.
The Education CS said that all the money allocated for primary schools had already been disbursed and that only secondary schools were yet to receive their dues, amounting to 13 billion shillings.
I've said all the money that is required in primary schools has been disbursed. The 13 billion that is to be disbursed to secondary schools shall be disbursed today or tomorrow.
However, heads of some primary schools claim they are yet to receive funds from the government.
What I know and what has reached us is that the secondary schools have already received their money. So what we are looking forward to is also to receive our money the soonest possible. We may say that money may not be there, but there are things that can be done that you honestly need to improvise.
This has slowed down their plans in trying to comply with the guidelines to reopen schools for second term next week. And on those claiming that the government made a wrong move to reopen schools, the Education CS advised them to challenge him in court.
Your most humble selves are free to go to court as many times as you want.
With the lack of funding being just one of the many challenges facing schools across the country, and even as students are expected back in schools on Monday next week, the safety of students remains a major concern, not just for parents but also for teachers. Musa Salah, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the National Parents Association Chairman Nicholas Maiyo says the government has the responsibility of assuring parents of the safety of their children ahead of the first phase of reopening of schools next week. He has, however, termed the claims of unpreparedness from a section of parents as unrealistic, saying as an association they are in full support of the government opening schools partially, as that will help retain the 2020 school calendar.
This issue of parents saying we are not prepared actually is causing confusion, because what we are doing at home is exactly what we will do when our children go back to school. If your child goes to boarding school, it is your obligation as a parent to feed your child while in boarding school. What we needed as parents is a security of our safety of our children. That was first and foremost. And we said schools will not be reopened not unless the virus has flattened. Secondly, we said we will not allow schools to reopen unless we have enough preventive measures. We want to have sanitizers in school. We want to have running water in school. This challenge actually is space, because almost 20% to almost 30% of our schools have a population of over 1,000 students. And it's a challenge for us because we need to create space for them. And for those schools who cannot afford to create space, we want the money that is gotten from the Ministry of Education to be speeded up. By Monday, you should have the money in account. I know building a permanent structure is a bit, it will take a lot of time. We can opt for a temporary structure, especially for those children who are yet to come in the next 3 weeks.
Elsewhere, the National Security Advisory Committee now says politicians intending to hold political meetings will be required to inform the office of the commanding station officer or CS in the area, and the meeting has to be held 3 days before. Now, social media users will also need now to ensure that their content is authentic. Elizabeth Mutuku has the details.
According to the statement released by the National Security Advisory Committee, politicians intending to hold political meetings will be required to inform the officer commanding station in the area the meeting will be held 3 days prior to the meeting.
The convener or any person intending to hold a public meeting or a public procession shall A. notify the officer commanding station, OCS, that is OCS, of such intent at least 3 days, but not more than 14 days before the proposed date of the public meeting or procession. B. Be present throughout the meeting or procession and shall assist the police in the maintenance of peace and order at the meeting or procession.
The committee further directed that the conveners of the meetings will be required to obey orders issued by the OCS or any other officer above the rank of inspector. This comes following increased political tension in the country. A recent incident in Keno, Murang'a County claimed 2 lives after 2 factions clashed on Sunday.
All their content is written in a language that avoids a tone and ones that constitute hate speech, ethnic contempt, and incitement to violence, harassment, abuse, defamation, or intimidation. Administrators of social media platforms are duly bound to moderate and control undesirable content and discussions that have been brought to their attention on their platforms.
Social media users will also ensure that their content is also authentic. Administrators of social media platforms will be held accountable for discussions in their groups.
Report to the relevant authority instances of hate speech, incitement to violence, ethnic contempt, or any other offense. D. Respect the freedom of expression of other people. E. Not abuse, exclude, demean, stereotype, or profile other people.
The guidelines comes amidst political temperatures now, government seemingly trying to bring together a country divided along political lines and also curtailing social media influence. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Nairobi County.
Thank you, our Parliamentary Affairs reporter Elizabeth Mutuku, for that report. And the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has launched the anti-graft policy aimed at heightening the fight against corruption in the country. The commission says it has so far recovered 20 billion shillings worth of assets and 100 billion shillings in cash in the last 5 years Josh Onsare has the details.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has launched a strategic policy to aid in fighting graft in the country. The commission says it has rationalized its strategies to focus on high-impact investigations based on personalities involved, value involved, and public interest, as well as recovery of corruptly acquired assets and the forfeiture of unexplained wealth.
The objective is to strengthen systems, policies and practices of public bodies to prevent corruption, as well as to disrupt corrupt networks that avert loss of public funds.
The policy, according to the anti-graft body, will also seek interventions which already exists to assist the EACC and other actors in the justice chain in bolstering the discharge of their mandates to the people. The commission says it has so far recovered assets worth about 20 billion in a span of 5 years, as well as 100 billion in terms of monies obtained through corruption.
The launch of the policy marks a major milestone in the fight against corruption, and it maps out our collective strategy to root out the corruption in all spheres and to build a value-based society. The overall objective of this policy is to reduce levels and prevalence of corruption and unethical practices in Kenya by providing a comprehensive, coordinated, and integrated framework in the fight against corruption and promotion of ethics.
Josh Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
You're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. 9:15 p.m. Time for us to take a short break. We still have a lot lined up for you. We'll be back with more news after this break. Stay tuned.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gari.
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa.
Wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku. Usikose.
It is said that cooking is one of the greatest gifts you can give those you love, because nothing brings people together like good food. Join Chef Hamadi every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. as he teaches us some simple and quick recipes, only on The Throwdown.
You are the mighty God, the great I am. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This and every Sunday, TV47 brings church straight to your home. Come, worship straight from your home as we bring you the Sunday church service at the All Saints Cathedral from 11 a.m.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gari.
Mimi nilizaliwa sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa
wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku, usikose.
It is said that cooking is one of the greatest gifts you can give those you love because nothing brings people together like good food.
Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight. Thank you for staying with us here on the county's television. Now, Gatundu North MP Wanjiku Kibe has said she will appeal the invalidation of her election by the High Court. Justice Weldon Korir today ruled that Kibe was not legally elected because she had not resigned as a nominated MCA when she was elected as a member of parliament.
It has been a litigious 3 years of first-time Gatundu North MP Wanjiku Kibe, and on Wednesday, the High Court in Nairobi for the second time nullified her 2017 election. Justice Weldon Korir ruled that MP Wanjiku Kibe was not legally elected because she was still a nominated MP when she vied for the parliamentary seat.
Constitution is a supreme law, and everybody is bound to abide by the Constitution, particularly on matters of qualifications.
The Constitution expressly disqualifies sitting MCAs from election to Parliament. Article 99, Section 2, Part A and D states, and I quote, "A person is disqualified from being elected a member of Parliament if the person is a state officer or other public officer other than a member of Parliament, is a member of a county assembly." Ms. Kibe's election had been nullified in 2018 only for the Court of Appeal to overturn the decision. However, the Court of Appeal directed that the matter be heard afresh. The fresh hearing sought to determine the interpretation of Article 105 that provides for the jurisdiction of the High Court on parliamentary election petitions. Joash Onsare, TV47.
Moving on, 2 Cuban doctors who had been kidnapped by terrorists have been released. The 2 were kidnapped in Mandera County and detained for more than 1.5 years in Somalia. Nanok Lorraine reports.
The 2 doctors, Landy Rodriguez and Herrera Correa, are now free. This comes after the abduction in April last year in Mandera County, a few kilometers from the Kenya-Somalia border, where they were kidnapped in a road ambush, with one of the police officers guarding them being shot and killed. They had been kidnapped while being driven to their workstation in a Mandera County government vehicle. Landy, a surgeon, and his fellow Herrera, a general practitioner, were detained for 1.5 years in Somalia and released over the past weekend after months of negotiations with the abductors. The 2 were part of the 100-member Cuban team which landed in the country from Havana, Cuba in June 2018. Nanok Loren, TV47.
Now, it is not clear whether some learners will report to their schools on Monday, as some institutions have already been converted to workshops and some teachers already venturing into small businesses for their survival. During the 7 months, schools were closed indefinitely due to COVID-19. The Kenya Secondary Schools Head Association chairman says the news of reopening of schools was an ambush to parents. He now wants the government to release funds to schools to help in the preparation ahead of learners reporting to school. Mariam Wacharo has the details.
This is New Shami School in Mombasa County. For the last 7 months, the school had changed to a furniture workshop. The director of the school, Shadrach Atik, says he opted to do that to make ends meet. This was after the government closed all schools indefinitely in March this year after the first case of the COVID-19 was reported in the country. Pieces of wood now occupy the space of learners who are expected to report Monday next week.
Nikabuni wazo ya kwamba vile sasa shule hakuna watoto. Nikatafuta mafundi, nikapata wafundi karibu 5 wenye kunisaidia. Nikanunua mbao, hata mbao nilichukua mkopo kutengeneza viti ili niuze, nianze kuweka pesa kidogo at least kusaidia walimu na hata wenye hii building kwa sababu ni rental.
We are not prepared because first is in fact finance. As private school, our income is the fees. This is the only income we have, no other source. Now, since the school it has been closed down because of a pandemic, there's no income.
Wycliffe Owiti Awori is a teacher at Bisil Academy in Kajiado County. He decided to start farming and selling of fish after his finances were affected following the closure of schools. Owiti already has loyal customers at a nearby market. He also sells his produce door to door and only engages in his teaching profession in the evening.
Nilifikiria nikaamua kwanza kwamba nianze kazi ya ukulima pamoja na kuuza dagaa. Nimejiendeleza hapo polepole hadi wakati huu naweza sema kwamba sijaumia sana kwa sababu nimejaribu kulipa nyumba yangu na kuweza kulisha familia yangu pia.
The chairman of Kenya Secondary School Heads Association, Kahi Indimuli, says the announcement of reopening of schools came as an ambush to not only parents but school heads as well. Indimuli wants the government to fasten the release of funds to schools.
Of course, as I said, the challenge of funding might jeopardize this because some of the suppliers did give supply and they were yet to have been paid. But early this afternoon, I did receive a call from the Minister, Professor Magoha, confirming that Treasury had released funds for secondary school, and we hope from tomorrow these funds should have been credited to our school accounts to enable us use the remaining few days to do some touch here and there.
However, Indimuli assured candidates that the time set in the new education calendar was enough to prepare for the national examinations. Class 8 candidates will write KCPE from 22nd to 24th March 2021. Form 4 candidates will sit their KCSE examinations from 25th March 2021 to 16th April 2021.
Now, a Nakuru court has today ordered the Inspector General of Police to reinstate Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi's security detail. In his ruling, Senior Resident Magistrate Isaac observed that the withdrawal of Sudi's security was both illegal and unconstitutional. Lynette Gidwa explains.
Kapsabet MP Oscar Sudi heaved a sigh of relief after a Nakuru court ordered the Inspector General of Police to reinstate his security detail. In his ruling, Senior Resident Magistrate Isaac Orenge observed that the withdrawal of Sudi's security detail was marred with illegalities and not done in accordance with the law. He added that Sudi had already been condemned and heard. his lawyer Kip Koech, the legislator questioned the legal foundation of the move by the Inspector General of Police to remove his security. According to Kip Koech, his client's security detail received verbal communication to report back to his workstation without further explanation. The Inspector General had, on January 20th, through the Director of Corporate Communications, pronounced that the National Police Service shall not provide security to very important persons who are involved or suspected to be involved in crime until they are cleared by the courts.
Leo nataka niseme nimeshukuru. Kwanza nataka nishukuru Jaji Mkuu kwa kunipatia nafasi kulingana na sheria ile siku nyingine. Leo pia nimekuwa hapa kwa sababu walikuwa withdraw security yangu. Na nashukuru pia sana kwa sababu sheria imefuatwa na haki imepatikana.
Lynette Gidua, TV47.
Elsewhere, the Ministry of Health has banned the registration and sale of nicotine drug Lift in Kenya. In an official letter to Pharmacy and Poisons Board, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has demanded the board to provide a report explaining how the registration of the drug was approved by the board.
Health CS Mutahi Kagwe has declared the registration and sale of nicotine-based drug, popularly known as Lift, illegal in Kenya. In a letter to the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, Kagwe says, and I quote, "The nicotine pouches neither meet the descriptions of Part 1 poison nor Part 2 poison as prescribed in the Act. Further, the manner in which the product is sold to the public does not meet the provisions of Section 23 of Cap 244 as required." The board has been required to furnish the ministry with a comprehensive report on the criteria used and circumstance leading to the registration and licensing of the product under the Pharmacy and Poisons Act. Lift is a nicotine-based product sold over the counter at 20 shillings, marketed as a safer option for smoking addicts. Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
You're watching TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi, here on the county's television. Time for us to take another short break. We'll be back with more after this break. Stay tuned.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wanyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Fahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa.
Wakati namuuliza maisha.
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni jaribu kabisa kufikia pahali ambapo nitafika Nairobi. Najua ilikuwa ni kazi ambayo ilichukua siku mingi sana kufika Nairobi.
Kila siku ya Jumatano kuanzia saa 1:30 hadi saa 2:30. Ungana naye Elizabeth Mutuku, usikose.
It is said that cooking is one of the greatest gifts you can give those you love because nothing brings people together like good food. Join Chef Hamadi every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. as he teaches us some simple and quick recipes, only on The Throwdown.
You are the mighty God, the great I am. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
This and every Sunday, TV47 brings church straight to your home. Come, worship straight from your home as we bring you the Sunday church service at the All Saints Cathedral from 11 a.m.
Kila siku ya Jumatano tunazungumza, tunaulizana na tunajuzana masuala ibuka ya kisiasa.
He is not in Kirinyaga.
Maisha yangu ni huru na watu wangu wa Nyali.
Tulivunja vyama vya URP na TNA na vyama vingine tanzu, ndio tukaunda chama inaitwa Jubilee.
Mijadala komavu kuhusu yanayokuhusu, na zaidi ya yote tunakupa nafasi kumfahamu kiongozi wako katika kipindi Fahamu Kiongozi.
Yako kama mtoto ilikuwa gani?
Mimi nilizaliwa, sasa najuaje maisha ilikuwa.
Wakati namuuliza maisha
Kwanza ilikuwa tu ni
Welcome back to TV47 News Tonight with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. You as the viewer, your opinion, your voice matters and counts. Keep talking to us. The hashtag to use is TV47 News. Send us a message on 22047. Let me sample some of your views on 22047. Nixon from Kindaruma says, I'll send my grade 4 back to school on Monday and hope the school principal will give me 2 months grace period to start paying fees. On Facebook, Rev Harrison Kosgei says, watching TV47 in Lesos, Nandi County, let schools be reopened and hope CS Magoha will reopen other classes on the 19th of October. Rafael Pamela says, already tuned from Kisumu County. Anderson Mugendi says, watching TV47 live from Meru. Keep talking to us. Let's get to more news. And members of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union in Trans Nzoia County have continued to paralyze health services in that county for the last 13 days. This is in order to compel the county leadership to honor their 2017 CBA. Our Trans Nzoia-based reporter Boniface Barasa reports.
These are teams of doctors and dentists attached to Kitale County Referral Hospital, carrying placards as they march along the streets of Kitale town. Promotion, non-remittance of third-party deductions, and compressive NHIF coverage are some of their grievances.
Asilimia 99.9 ya madaktari hawajapandishwa daraja au hawajapandishwa vyeo. Kaunti zingine zimefanya haya mambo kwa muda wa siku 2, wengine kwa muda wa siku 1. Mbona Trans Nzoia ni tofauti? Na ile muhimu kabisa ni bima yetu ya afya almaarufu NHIF. Kaunti ya Trans Nzoia haijawahi kulipa ama kupeleka pesa za bima za afya ama ya NHIF tangu mwezi wa 5 mwaka huu. Kuna jambo la mishahara ama kaunti ya Trans Nzoia na uzoefu wa kuchelewesha mishahara ya madaktari.
These doctors blame the county government of Trans Nzoia for ignoring their concerns from time to time.
Kaunti zingine wanalipa mishahara kwa wakati ufaao, wanatoa bima ya kutosha kwa wafanyikazi wao, wanapandisha watu ngazi, lakini Trans Nzoia wanatupeleka hivi hivi tu kama sisi ni watoto wadogo. Je, madaktari nyinyi ni watoto wadogo?
Na tulikuwa na mkataba tukasema kwamba ikifika tarehe 5 ya kila mwezi kabla mishahara yetu haijalipwa, sisi hamtatuona huku tena. Hamtatuona tukitembea, tutakaa nyumbani, tutaenda wengine tutarudi reserve, tukae penye atulipi rent. Sisi pia we have bills to pay.
Patients were being attended to in 9 hospitals in this county were forced to seek health services in other alternative private health institutions. The resultant situation is unbearable to the majority of the patients.
Hizi wagonjwa wameumia huko, inabidi tunaenda na wagonjwa tunawarudisha tuwapeleke private, wengine hatuna pesa kwa wakati wa corona.
Sisi kama wananchi tunaomba madaktari warudi waweze kusuluhisha hiyo mgomo ili kaweze kuisha na sisi tukaweze kutibiwa kwa hospitali ya county.
The medics insist they won't resume work until the grievances are fully resolved. This comes at a time when the county has registered over 222 positive cases of coronavirus, 15 among them being county employees. At least 10 people have died from COVID-19 Trans Nzoia County.
As doctor strike affects service delivery in health facilities in this county, calls have been made on the top leadership of the county to amicably solve the stalemate for doctors to resume duties. Boniface Barasa, TV47, Trans Nzoia County.
Moving on, tea farmers have taken a swipe at the Council of Governors for opposing the new tea regulations. The farmers say the governors are politicizing reforms in the tea sector to the detriment of tea growers. Moige William has that report.
A clash is simmering between the Council of Governors and tea farmers. In Embu County, tea growers have faulted the governors for opposing the new tea sector regulations. The farmers accuse the governors of politicizing reforms in the tea sectors to the detriment of tea growers. Led by John Gadhango, the farmers called on the governors to reconsider their position. They also accused Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi of mobilizing his counterparts in criticizing reforms in the tea sector.
Mkulima amekuwa na tabu nyingi sana na ni jambo la aibu kusikia kwamba mangavana wanaenda kupingana ama kupinga yale mambo ambayo yanafanywa na Munya. Na tunajua hawa na Kiraitu ndio wameenda kuwachukua wale mangavana wengine waende kupinga yale maneno. Kiraitu anaangalia siasa ya 2022 akiona kwamba Munya nyota yake inaendelea kumulika.
Further, Gadhango added that they will soon storm KTDA offices if the agency fails to withdraw lawsuits it filed against the implementation of the new tea reforms.
Ikiwa KTDA watakuwa wameondoa yale makesi ambayo wameleta dhidi ya Munya, tutakuwa tunavamia ofisi zao Nairobi.
On her part, Chief Administrative for Agriculture Anyaga emphasized that the reforms are for the benefit of the tea farmer. She says the regulations focus on empowering the farmer who for a long time has been getting a low deal from the sale of the crop.
We are doing it for the sake of the farmer. But even as we do it, we are saying let us call for calm, and let us, even though we are differing, let us do it in a peaceful manner.
Moige William for TV47 Embu.
Let's get to the world of sports now. And Impala Saracens lock Eric Carey has issued a call to stakeholders to prioritize the safety of players as the country explores possible ways of reopening the contact sport. According to the Kenyan international, who has 18 caps to his name, the COVID-19 pandemic has served a tough lesson to sportsmen in the country.
But generally, survival has not been an easy thing, especially when I was used to sports. So it's actually a good thing that it has happened, and we are surviving. We are learning from it, and people are coming up with so many ways of survival. We should ask ourselves, do we want to live to see tomorrow? Do we want to enjoy today, get fit, but not use that fitness tomorrow? So it's a matter of sports. We can have them when we are ready. But if it's risking our lives, I don't think that it's worth it.
Now, Arsenal have responded to Mesut Ozil's offer to pay mascot's wage by insisting that the mascot will remain at the club. The London club, however, offered no guarantees about the player himself.